the context of how it occurred. It should not repeat the reporter's lead. Sound bites. Sound bites, also called SOTs or sound on tape, are the equivalents of quotes in print or web stories. This is just your quote. Yeah, this is your soundbite. The best ones are usually short, less than 10 seconds. That would be great, but sometimes they're 15 or 20 seconds, like we were saying before. And they reflect emotion or information that is better coming from the source than the reporter. So earlier we were talking about you want something with emotion. We go into it a little bit here. Is it memorable? If you didn't have your notebook and you weren't listening to your tape, what comment do you remember the source is saying? What stands out to you? That's a clue for a good soundbite. Avoid quotes that repeat what the reporter explained. It's called echo quotes. 4 qualities for good sound bites: a personal account, people telling you what they saw, heard, felt, smelled, or tasted; a witness account, a personal opinion, or an expert opinion. Natural sound, background sound that is intended to play while the reporter or anchor is speaking, is called natural or ambient sound. It should enhance the story by giving the viewer a sense of being on the scene without distracting from the words the anchor or reporter is speaking. It could be the sound of wind, traffic noise, sizzling meat on a grill for a barbecue story, sirens, or other sounds to enhance the story. If you did a story at the fair and you were at the carnival, you might just have your recorder out and you're recording the midway, all the rides, and you hear people, and you would record that. You would record it for a couple minutes, and then you could put that very softly underneath as you track a story about the carnival in the midway, and it's just enough background noise to like hear and like bring the listener there. So that's ambient sound. So VOs and VOSOTs. A VO is a voiceover, a story that the anchor reads over pictures, but without any audio sound bites. A VOSOT is a voiceover the anchor reads plus a sound bite. It's also called sound on tape. Both formats are usually brief, 20 seconds, 45 seconds. These 2 formats often comprise a majority of the stories on a broadcast. Because TV depends on images, both VOs, VOSOTs feature images while the anchor is reading the story. However, it is not always possible to time the visuals exactly to the text the anchor is reading, so it is best not to say "as you see on your screen" or to use other direct references to the video. The VO and VOSOT differ from a package, which is a story that includes the introduction by the anchor to the story that a reporter narrates with the sound bites and pictures, and sometimes a stand-up, we call it, which features the reporter on camera. The reporter is, sometimes you'll be watching a story, the reporter comes on and he or she just adds another bit of element, but they're talking into the camera. That's called a stand-up. Usually ends with a standard out cue, which is a reporter sign off, like I was saying before. In Syracuse, Tom Magnarelli for blah, blah, blah news, such as "this is Jennifer Zilko for KTUU." That's the sign off. Here's ethics guidelines that includes social media. There's some good advice in here. So definitely read this part about having, if you're a reporter, you're in the public eye, you have to be very careful about what you put on social media because it could get back to you. So definitely read some of those. Writing for radio news writing follows many of the same principles as writing for television news, but the copy is shorter. Stories can be more like the TV teasers in length. A radio newscast may total about 90 seconds with 6 or 7 stories, unless it is NPR, which offers longer stories. So that's more so what I do. We're public radio. We tend to go longer than this. A typical story may contain fewer than 100 words, and because you can't show you can't show video, you should create word pictures by describing the scene. You have to be able to pick out the most important information and not get caught up in the minutia. And you have to keep it simple. It's a big mistake to try to cram too much information into too little a time, which is why you have to prioritize and do it quickly. Most of his, this guy King says most of his sentences last only 5 to 6 seconds on the radio. Rule of thumb, if it seems awkward and long when you say it out loud, it probably sounds that way to the listener. I try to keep each sentence focused on a single thought and keep it simple. And keep in mind, you have to keep asking what the listener will and won't be able to digest. And then there's some more terms for radio. A reader is a script that a newscaster reads without any background noise or comments from sources. Actuality, the equivalent of a soundbite. Natural sound is the ambient sound. A rap, a story from a reporter that may include actualities, the sound bites. Voicer, story a reporter reads and may contain natural sound, but doesn't include actualities. Okay, we can skip over this. Broadcast style are meant to be read from a teleprompter. As a result, style rules are designed to make scripts easy for a reporter or announcer to read out loud for a listener to understand. Punctuation, numbers, write out numbers 1 through 9, use numerals for numbers over 10. Limit the use of numbers. Names and titles. State Attorney General, John Lawmaker, not John Lawmaker, State Attorney General. So we're going to put titles at the beginning. Use contractions with caution. Omit needless words. Timing of copy. Broadcast scripts are use minute 30, 2 minutes. Story structure. Leads. An anchor will introduce your story, but every story in a package needs its own leads. Put a human face on the story whenever possible. Advance the lead. Focus on a person. A mystery teaser lead. We're just going to get through some of this now as quickly as we can. But definitely take the time to go through and read this. There's all really good stuff in here. This goes into the body of the story, the who, what, when, where, and why. All good stuff to read there. In broadcast writing, the endings are called the tags or the wrap-ups. Revising stories. This is really important for everyone, no matter what you submit. When you're at the end of your writing, you're not done with the process yet. Revision is important. Read your story aloud. Rewrite any sentences that sound strained. Check all your sources' names and titles for spelling accuracy and pronunciation. Eliminate bureaucratic language. Make sure your transitions don't repeat the sound bites. And there's a glossary of great different terms for broadcast news in here. Okay. All right. So there's a lot for you to read and go over. Okay, let's go over your assignment. It's just a broadcast writing assignment. It's gonna be worth 40 points. I want you to convert the following newspaper story into a broadcast news story. And you're going to email the assignment to me by Sunday evening. And if you have any questions about the format, you're watching this lecture right now. We're going to go over a little bit of what I'm expecting. So this is, we have our newspaper story right here. So we've got everything here, but so what do you want us to do, right? We got to convert this. We're going to convert this into the broadcast news story. So what's that going to look like? And what do I want it to look like? It's going to look something like this. I want an anchor intro. That's going to be your lead. You get one sentence saying that, and then you're going to this is your sentence that's going to set up the package that we're going